Recorded.
It's recording now.
And if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to just chime in. There's not too many people on this, so you can interrupt Brad or myself at any point. About 30 seconds more. Okay, let's get started. I'm Jeff Goldman. I'm with Wingman in Baltimore. And we have on Brad Schrum, otherwise known as the Pumpkin Eater. And he is down in Naples, Florida. Say hi, Brad.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about the COVID crisis and how it impacting cyber insurance, along with for anybody who wants to stay on, we will do a demo of our platform. So let us begin. Let's see. Okay, so the new risk is obviously employees working at home. All of a sudden, out of the blue, people had to start shutting down their businesses and telecommuting. And you can read this quote, but one stat I've seen is in the month of April alone, which is mind-boggling to me, we had a 142% increase in cyber attacks. And that is being attributed to work at home issues. And we will get into that in great detail. So I am going to turn this over to Brad now, and he will run with it.
Okay, so what are the exposures working from home? We get to go on vacations, but hackers don't. In fact, they're accelerating their attacks against remote workers because there's much less scrutiny in when you work on home devices. So they look for a weakness and they go after it. As employees, when working from home, you tend to be more relaxed and thus less vigilant when it comes to looking at emails or passing on emails. The privacy controls may decrease. You don't have a shredder at home or documents, and maybe people are seeing things on your computer that they shouldn't. Employees are using their own computers, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Usually the security isn't as strong, and there's no oversight or rules to be enforced, and IT staffs are overwhelmed and can't get to everyone, so you may have to wait days to get update for security checks or changes to make sure that you're meeting certain security standards. And these are some additional data points that we see out there, and you'll see there's a ton of statistics, but all the statistics that you'll see here are pointing towards just more opportunities for hackers to get into systems and do damage. So, and you could read all these, but they're increasing dramatically. Okay. And this is SMBs. What that stands for is small and medium businesses. And this is the first one from our perspective is very, very large. 76% of US small business and medium businesses were attacked, up from 55% in 2016. That's just stunning number. And you can see a single incident increased almost sixfold from 34,000 to over 200,000. So it's getting very, very expensive, and the attacks are on the rise. And then what can you do to protect yourself, or what can an insured do to protect themselves? Tell employees to use a password manager, and there are many of them out there. Make sure employees are not loaning their work devices to children or spouses. It happens a lot more than you think. Do not download apps on your phone, tablet, and laptops from untrusted sources. And make sure that the staff reports suspicious files or downloads or emails immediately to the IT department so they can take some type of action. Also, social media, random news sites should never be opened. Mute when your microphone when you're on a conference call. If you're not used to or heard about these Zoom bombs, where people get on there and do stupid stuff during meetings, and you don't even know who they are. Just got to be careful and provide software to efficiently back up all data. And most important, and we put this in red, is to remind the insured staff or your staff never to open emails or text links or websites with information about COVID-19. Seeing a huge amount of increase in attacks from COVID-19 where they're trying to take advantage of your emotions. You know, and now we say why having a cyber policy is more important than ever. And now you understand some of the risks that businesses face. We've talked about the heightened risk. Now we'll go through how a cyber policy can help. And most importantly, are remote workers covered under a good cyber policy, and what you should look for to know that they are covered. You know, we have this hacking has doubled since working from home. You know, we said there was a tremendous increase in the amount of hacking that's going on with small and medium businesses. We're finding, or the IT folks are finding, that virtual private networks or VPNs are not protecting workers at home. Like we said, cyber attacks are up 148% since COVID-19 forced people to work from home. And the bottom line is it's easier to hack someone from home than at the office, and you see the reasons why for that. So what is covered when working from home? So if you have a work computer, you're going to see the exposures. And then we say, what are the first and third party coverages? Is an insured or an employee covered if they're using a work computer? And you'll see if they're using a work computer, everything's covered from a first and third party perspective under the policy or our policy. And obviously that's subject to terms, conditions, and exclusions. Now, a personal computer, so what if you're using your own personal computer and you're using it for work? Well, if you have the access policy, you would have full coverage if it's related to the insured's business from a first and third party perspective. And there's many forms that do not cover this, and we'll get into a little more depth. So you'll see under the access policy how the computer system definition reads, and I'll go through it. It's important to do that. Computer system is the computer hardware and software and all the components thereof linked together through a network of devices accessible through the internet or the insured's entity's intranet, or connected with data storage other peripheral devices that are, and here's the most important thing, operated by and either owned or leased by the insured's entity, or operated for the benefit of the insured's entity by a third-party service provider. What it does not say there, what if an employee owned the computer, their own computer? Well, it's not owned or leased by the insured's entity, right? The insured has no insurable interest in that computer that someone owns at home and is using, okay? But we have changed that, and go ahead, Jeff. And we've amended the definition, go back one, please. We've amended the definition of computer system to include BYOD, not BYOB, but it's bring your own device. And what we've done is amended the definition to say computer system also includes any individual insured's mobile portable device used in conjunction with the insured's entity program. It's a tremendous benefit feature of the policy now. So if you are working at home with your own computer and you get bricked, or basically bricking means that a hacker maliciously gets into your computer and shuts it down and you can never turn it on again, you as an individual or as an employee would have coverage for your own personal computer insured by the business as long as you're using it for the business. And hopefully that makes sense. And we bring this point home by a quote from one of our competitors on Bring Your Own Device. And I'll just read through it a little bit. One of the costs that's sometimes covered in a cyber policy is the replacement cost for the hardware that is completely ruined by a higher cyber attack or bricked in IT speak. If an employee is using a personal device for work that is damaged by a cyber attack, the replacement cost that individual must pay to replace their own device will not be covered by most carriers. But it is covered if it's the company's own device. And this came from one of our competitors. So it goes to show you that the feature of providing BYOD is a tremendous benefit to the insured to provide that coverage for their employees.
I'm going to stop you for a second, Brad, and just some people have joined us late, and just let you know that we will be sending out all the slides and the recording of this webinar this morning, so you'll be able to catch up with whatever you've missed.
Now, our response to Wingman COVID-19, and some of you may be appointed with Wingman, and as you know, we're endorsed by the Big I of Maryland. We have given you that policy clarification that bring your own device or employee-owned work devices will be covered. We are offering installments on all accounts regardless of premium size for monthly and quarterly pays. The minimum premium under our policy starts at $500, so a customer could pay on a monthly basis if they like, and there are no installment charges to do that. And payment can now be received, whoops, come back please. Payment can now be received up to 30 days after the effective date or invoice date, up from 14 days. So an example, on 5/1, you could write an account. The insured's gonna have 30 days to pay the bill up to 5/31. And the policy will incept at 5/1, but keep in mind, there's no coverage until the insured pays that bill. So that is our response to COVID-19 specifically. Next, please.
So before we move on, does anybody have any questions about BYOD they'd like to address? You can do it through the chat or ask away. Okay, so Wingman best practices. So what we see is these are practices that we preach all the time to our appointed agents. Convey risks when employees work from home. As I said, there was 142% increase in cyber attacks in the month of April. I'm looking forward to seeing May. Offer cyber insurance to 100% of your customers. We as a company are seeing about a 30% uptake right now. And because of COVID-19, we're seeing early indications that these numbers are going to be increasing. Our activity level has jumped with the pandemic. And from an agency standpoint, this gives you a great opportunity to have something new to talk to your customers and share these risks with them, which is number 3, educating your customers on cyber risk. It's not if they're going to get hit, it's when they're going to get hit. And finally, We like as a practice to promote using a declination letter. If your customer is going to decline, it protects your agency's E&O. Because if you don't offer it to them, they have a cyber attack. It has been seen throughout the industry. There are E&O claims. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is do a very brief demo of our platform. If you're already appointed with us, you can either stay on and maybe you'll learn something new, or if you're not, it will give you an opportunity to see the platform. And let me just get to the right page here. Okay, whoops. I'm getting there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the Wingman platform. It is our intellectual property. Wingman Insurance, we are an insurtech. We're a technology company in the insurance business. We also are an insurance agency and licensed in all 50 states, but we do not sell insurance. We simply support our agents in selling cyber and tech E&O insurance. We work with Access Insurance as our carrier. They are the third largest carrier in the world for cyber, and they're A+ admitted in 48 states, all states except Texas, except for Vermont and Hawaii. Okay, the first thing I want to show you in the platform are these 3 dots down here at the bottom left. That is how you talk to a Wingman underwriter. If you have questions about using the platform, if you have questions about coverages, anything like that, you go on here and you can chat away, or we will have our contact information, Brad and myself, at the end of this presentation, and you can reach out to us if you're interested in either being appointed or if you have any questions once you're appointed. Okay, we're going to click on the yellow bubble, which is tools. We have a variety of tools available to you, including videos on how to use this platform. We have marketing tools. These are tools, and this is new because I know some of you are already appointed with us. We have updated this. Now we have all sorts of marketing materials that you can customize. You can download them either in PDF and modify them, or now download them in Word and easily add your own logo and contact information to these marketing materials. We never want you to brand our product with the Wingman name to your customer. We have you brand to your customer with your agency's name and logo and information. Okay, specimen document. We have 2 types, as I mentioned. We have cyber, and then we have tech E&O with cyber. So if you need to look up a policy, you click and find your state and download it. Production reports, you can look at all the quotes and binds here historically for your agency. Very important area, claims and resources. The way to think about cyber insurance, in my mind, is that think of it as the cost of the policy to your customer is the cost of a retainer for a data breach coach. What do I mean by that? Your customers probably all have lawyers on retainers. Well, if they have a data breach with us, then they have access to a data breach coach. And these are attorneys who do nothing but work on data breaches. They will help your customer determine if they have a data breach. If they do, then they hold their hand through the process and walk you through this and start helping you. Next thing that's going to happen is you're going to report a claim, and here's how you report the claim. Access eRisk Hub. Every single of our appointed agencies have access to this. You get access through this process of 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Once you get in there, there are reams of information on data breaches, calculator to determine how much coverage your customer will need. There'll be industry-specific data breach, so on. Tremendous resource. Cyber Risk Aware is for your customers. These are modules on best practices to educate your customer on how to avoid a data breach in the first place. This circle right here, the color wheel, will always get you back to the home screen. Okay, so let's go through a example of what it would be like to quote and bind a policy. The green side is for cyber tech E&O. The blue side is for cyber. First thing I want you to notice is this little arrow here. This is of tremendous value to you. You click on here, there's 2 options. Send cyber link to applicant. Okay, what does that mean? You put their name in there and their email address, and you will send a personal application to them, which they fill out. There's a maximum of 5 questions. They hit return. It doesn't come to Wingman. It goes straight back to you to act upon. So that's a real easy way to quote cyber. But we have something that's even better. We have this get custom cyber link. This is a hyperlink that will be customized to each and every user, the thousands of users that Wingman has. Each has their own unique hyperlink. This can be used on your company's website. And when you click on this, it's the same application that will be filled out. So you can have a button that says, get a quick quote for your business on cyber insurance, click here. Bam, that application gets sent. Fill it out, it comes back to you. You can use it on your email signature, and for prospecting, if you do social media, you can use it there. How? Many states you have to report cyber breaches. So you could report occasional cyber breaches on your social media and say, protect your company, get a quick quote here on cyber insurance. Attach it to this hyperlink, and bam, you're out there searching for new business. Okay, if you're going to do a quote at your desk, or one day again, hopefully, once we get out of this pandemic world, this COVID-19 world, you'll be able to do this in front of your customers on a laptop. Okay, you put in the name. We'll just call this the Big I Maryland Insurance. We'll say the annual revenues are $2 million. We'll start typing in an address, and comes up. Hit next, and you're going to see why you can quote in under a minute. Then you just need to determine what industry, business classification they're under. There's 21 of them. You don't know? Not a problem. Either click on the 3 dots and ask one of our underwriters to help you, or maybe better yet, try this. Go to Other and start typing in what they are. We'll say lawyer, and bam, it will rate it for you. Now, for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to pretend the Big I is a doctor's office, because they have lots of cyber exposure. You know, imagine if the HIPAA records get out. So we click on there, hit next, and these are our questions for rating the account. If there's no exposure, you know, obviously a doctor's office is going to have healthcare records, but let's say, you know, it's a landscaper. They don't, just skip it. Don't worry. Don't even open it up. If you don't know what a healthcare record is, mouse over the question mark, and it'll give you examples. Okay, like I said, it's obvious that Doctor's office is going to have healthcare records. Notice we do not ask how many records someone has because they don't know. Nobody knows how many information records that they have, how many healthcare records they have, but they can do broad estimates. And if they get it wrong, they get it way wrong, the artificial intelligence in the program will kick it out. If they're close, it's okay. We've never had a policy audited by Axis. So we'll say this doctor has between 0 and 100,000 records. Personal information records, same thing. So this doctor may just have for their employees, since all their quote unquote customers are patients. Now, payment card transactions. Most doctors nowadays take credit cards. So we'll say you have that exposure. And we'll say in this case, this doctor's office has less than 20,000 transactions annually. And then it asks, are you or your credit card processing vendor PCI compliant, which is a standard for the credit card industry? The answer is almost inevitably yes. And if, you know, and I'd say 99.9%. Hit next, we're about done. Have you had a data breach in the last 3 years? If the answer is yes, it does not mean an automatic declination. We will ask a few more questions, but it does not mean an automatic declination. If the answer is no, we are done. You now have a bindable quote for $1, $2, $3 million. This is not an indication. You do not need a wet signature. This is a bindable quote. This is good for any business in any industry, with the only exception of cannabis, and that may change soon, with $100 million or less in revenue. These quotes are for. You need a quote bigger? That's okay. Request additional limits. You download a larger application here. It's still only about 5-6 pages, I believe. You fill that out and it will bypass us and go straight to an Axis underwriter who, once they complete the quote, you'll get an email saying to go into the platform and retrieve the quote, and then you can act upon it. Let's look at a quote letter. So in this case, it's got our logo on it. Yours will not. Yours will have your logo, your agency's logo on it, and your contact information. Okay, insured, as we've already mentioned, it's Axis Insurance. It's A+15. Important, the retro date, all prior acts. Terrorism coverage, it's in there, no additional charge. Okay, cyber liability coverages. These are third-party coverages at full limit. Back in the day of 4 or 5 years ago, the majority of cyber breaches were third party, and a lot of the BOPs, that's all they cover is third party. That is not true anymore. Nowadays, 75% of all data breaches are first party. We have third party, but that's the exception now, not the rule. Here are the first party coverages, and I'm just going to skip through these. I'll highlight 1 or 2, but that's it. Crisis management, fraud response, public relations, extortion loss. Extortion's the threat. Ransomware is the actual attack. So ransomware, that's when they lock up your computer and ask you to send them money in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. And it's the #1 loss leader in data breaches. Website media, reputational harm. Bricking. If you haven't heard of bricking, that's a malicious attack where the hacker is electronically fries your phones, your computers, and turns them into a worthless brick. Invoice manipulation is otherwise known as social engineering. This covers you in case you have a customer that has been social engineered. Social engineering, that is where, let's pretend I'm the president of a company, you're the CFO, you get an invoice, you get an email from me that says pay this invoice, you pay it, except I'm a hacker, rising dramatically as a data breach. Telecommunications, if they take over your phones and things like that. Business interruption coverages are both first and third party coverages. And the one thing I want to point out here is a waiting period. Most cyber policies we've seen are 12 to 24 hour waiting period. We have 6 hours, very strong. So this is a very robust policy. If you want to bind the policy, you click on what you want, it highlights it. You now have the purchase coverage. Okay, now you can purchase policies as short as 6 months, as long as 18 months. Why would you want to do that? To align all your policies. You know, your customers need cyber insurance, not when particularly 6 months from now when they need to renew all their other business policies. No, they need it today. So if you need one that's 8 months and 5 days, then just click on here and our underwriter will re-rate it for you. So we offer payment schedules, annual, quarterly, or monthly. There is no, I repeat, no service fee for lower, for quarterly and monthly payments. We did that in response to the COVID-19, reducing the standard, so anybody now can get that. Okay, once you hit proceed, we direct bill your customer. We send the invoice out under your logo. Remember, nothing goes to your customer under the Wingman name, goes under your logo, but we direct bill for you. Your customer has a choice to pay by ACH or by credit card. If they do it by credit card, then there is a 2% service fee pass through. They have 30 days, up to 30 days to pay that invoice. They have no coverage until they pay, but it will go back to the retroactive date once they do pay. But they have no coverage till then. We pay you 15% new and 15% renewal on all policies. We pay you by ACH on the 10th of the month following the transaction, following the bind. The policy itself is the binder. So once they pay us by ACH or credit card, within a minute, that policy will land in your inbox for you to deliver it to your customer. We do not deliver the policy, you deliver the policy. 90 days out from expiration of the policy, you'll start getting notifications from us, and we are moving to an automated renewal system that will be even, under most cases, even quicker. But all we're gonna ask you for is the revenue and data record changes. If they've had a breach, we'll already know that. Bam, the policy renews, and that's it. So that is Wingman in essence. So do we have any questions before we end this webinar? Please ask away. So if you are interested, if you have any questions, so on, I'm Jeff Goldman. Here's my contact information. You'll have an email from me with the recording of this presentation. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Brad for being on here, and I want to thank the Big I. I hope you see now why the Big I in Maryland has made us their exclusive partner for cyber, because this is so easy. Well, thank everybody.